What's up, everybody? Welcome to my channel. Today I'm gonna be working on this 2006 Mercedes C230. So I bought the car kind of cheap for the mileage. It has like 78,000 miles, but it has a couple of cosmetic problems and mechanical. I'm gonna take care of both. So my goal for this car is to be able to drive properly and be able to pass smog so I can give it to a family member. I think the car is worth it because it has 78,000 miles, so they're pretty low for being a 2006. And it's a nice looking car too. I always like the C230s. I'm a Mercedes guy myself, even though I drive a couple of BMWs. But I'm gonna go ahead, drive it inside of the shop, and I'm just gonna go through the whole car. I know there's a couple of cosmetic and mechanical problems with the car, so I'm just gonna go through the whole thing. I'm gonna start with the hood. So this hood has shocks, and apparently they went out already because the hood doesn't stay open. And I'm gonna be working on the engine, so definitely I'm gonna start by replacing the shocks. The next thing I'm gonna do is fix the window. So I turned the ignition on and I was moving the switch up and down, and I was able to hear the motor, but the window doesn't move, and you're able to move it by hand. So I'm pretty sure the regulator went out. And the last thing I noticed, the door ajar switch, it's pushed in. So I'm either gonna fix this one or I'm just gonna try to get another one. And definitely I need to clean the car inside, so it needs like a detail. I mean, it's in one piece and the interior is pretty decent, but there's a couple of stains and it's dusty. So I'm gonna clean the interior once I finish fixing everything. I'm gonna leave that for last. Now once I take care of those, I'm gonna grab the scanner and I'm gonna look for codes. I know it has a misfire and it has a couple of other codes that I don't remember, but obviously I already hooked up the scanner. But I'm gonna go through the codes with you guys, that way I can show you the process of fixing it the right way. I got my regulator right here and my shocks. I got them online. I think I paid like $50 for the regulator, and this was like $20. You could buy them from AutoZone, but I think they're gonna be a little bit more. And I think it's almost the same quality. So here's my shocks. So they're not a big deal to install. I'm gonna go ahead and install these first. I'm gonna hold the hood with the bar, and I'm gonna be careful because the hood is pretty heavy. So I'm gonna go ahead and replace those shocks. I just finished installing the shocks. I did a separate video on how to install them. They're pretty simple. So now I'm gonna move on to the window regulator. I'm gonna go ahead and remove the panel. So I gotta remove the door lock, this plastic cover for the airbag. There's a bolt behind it. On the armrest, I gotta remove this plastic, and then there's two bolts holding the door panel. I gotta remove this speaker cover. I removed the door panel, and I also removed the rivets for the airbag and for the handle. So I'm gonna remove this cover, then I'm gonna replace the regulator. Here's my old regulator in pieces. So this one's definitely damaged. I'm gonna go ahead and install the new one right now. Okay, so I'm pretty much done installing the regulator. I'm gonna test it before I put everything back together. Okay, so it's working. All right, so now I'm gonna put everything back together. Okay, so there it is. Don't forget to connect your handle, your switches, the light on the bottom. You got your tweeter over here. You got the two bolts in here, one bolt, this bolt right here with this little bracket, and that's it. Now we're gonna test to see if it works. So I'm gonna roll it down. Now I'm gonna bring it back up. And there it is. I just finished installing the window regulator. So the window's able to roll up and down now. I also installed the shocks on the hood. Now I'm gonna move on to the door ajar switch. So somebody put tape on it and it looks like the switch is pushed in. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove the tape and I'm gonna see what's going on. I removed the tape and I noticed that the sensor is broken. So I'm gonna completely take it off and I'm gonna see if I can fix it. If not, then I'm just gonna buy another one. The switch is broken, and honestly, it's like $10. So I'm just gonna buy another one. I'm not gonna deal with it. And by the way, the battery was draining, so I think it was draining because of the switch. Okay, so I'm gonna get this switch by tomorrow. But for now, I'm gonna grab my scanner and I'm gonna start getting all the codes. I know the car has a misfire, so every time you turn it on, it's shaking a lot and it doesn't really want to go. It lost power. I connected the scanner before I bought it, and there was some transmission codes and some engine codes. So I'm gonna go ahead and hook up this scanner. This one is gonna go into more detail of what's going on, and I'm gonna get all the codes, and I'm just gonna try to figure out what's wrong with the car, and I'm gonna fix everything that needs to be fixed. So I'm gonna go ahead and connect it. I connected the scanner and I'm getting a bunch of codes. I'm getting codes for the radio, the steering column, the door control module. So I'm not gonna worry about those. I'm gonna worry about the motor and the transmission. So I'm gonna go into the motor. The other modules, I was working on the door and I was working on other things. So I'm gonna reset the other codes, and if they come back, then I'm gonna check them out. But for now, I just want the car to pass smog and I want to be able to drive it. So I'm just going to focus on the engine and transmission. So I'm going to go on trouble codes. So here I got all my codes. So I'm getting a misfire on cylinder 4, misfire cylinder 5, cylinder 6, cylinder 1, random misfire. I have a problem with the master flow, and again the master flow and the intake air temperature sensor. So sometimes the intake air temp sensor and the master flow, they're in the same housing. So I'm gonna take the intake apart and I'm gonna check out the sensor, make sure it's connected. I have a feeling that I'm getting all these misfires and I'm getting these master flow codes because they probably mess with the sensor, or it's disconnected, or it's probably dirty, you know, and it's contaminated, and that's why I'm getting these codes. So I know I have a misfire, and I also know that there's a problem with the sensors, so I'm not gonna clear them for now. The other thing I want to check is the transmission, so I'm gonna go into the transmission. Okay, I'm gonna go into the transmission trouble codes, and here they are. So I have a problem with the speed sensor, again the speed sensor, the output speed sensor, and the engine shift element does not engage. Okay, so the previous owner told me that the car was leaking transmission fluid, so I might be getting all these codes because I'm low on transmission fluid. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put it on the lift and I'm gonna check the transmission level. But for now, I'm gonna check out what's going on with the misfires and with the master flow and the air temp sensor. So I'm gonna go ahead and start taking the covers apart, and I'm gonna make sure that the sensors are not damaged and that the sensors are connected. So I'm gonna go ahead and take care of that first. Okay, so I'm gonna start removing the plastics. I'm gonna check those sensors first, and I'm gonna make sure they're working properly. Then I'm gonna diagnose the misfire, because the sensors can be causing the misfire. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna remove these two plastics, and there's two intakes, one on each side. So I'm assuming that they meet right in the middle. So the sensor is gonna be somewhere on the back. So I'm gonna start taking the plastics off. Okay, so I got my covers off. Here's my covers. And I noticed that there's no master flow sensor. So there is no sensor, and here's the connector. So someone disconnected the sensor, took it off, and they never put it back on. So I could be getting those misfires because there's no master flow sensor and no air temp sensor, which is a good thing in a way, because maybe all I gotta do is buy another one, put it on, and everything's gonna work properly. The only thing I did notice is that they put two new coils. So they replaced two coils. This one has all the original coils on the car on this side. There's a couple of things missing. So I'm missing the sensor, and I think there's a copper that goes to the bottom on the throttle body to the sensor. I don't have that one either, so I'm gonna have to find one. And the other thing I noticed is that there's oil on this side of the engine and on the back, and this side there's no oil leaks. So I'm assuming this side it's leaking from the oil cap, and on the back there's a plastic plug right here. I already checked, and the oil leak is coming from the plug. There's another plug somewhere back here, so you're able to see it right there. So I think I'm gonna clean the engine. I'm just gonna cover the computer and I'm gonna clean it. Then I'm gonna remove those plugs. I'm gonna replace the cap, and the plugs on the back, I'm gonna remove them, clean them, and I'm gonna reseal them with silicone. And if I get the car running properly, I'm gonna drive it, make sure I have no more oil leaks, and hopefully that fixes the problem. So for now, I'm gonna have to find that sensor, find the coupler for the throttle body to the sensor, and I'm missing a breather hose that goes from the back probably to the sensor, or maybe the housing, the coupler, I don't know. So I'm gonna go ahead and get those parts. I'm gonna connect them, and most likely I'm gonna throw the car on the lift because I want to check the transmission, the brakes, the suspension. I'm gonna go through the whole thing. I ended up buying a battery. I checked the one on the car and it's no good. So I put it on their load, and I mean, it was dying. So I was like, might as well. I did pay like $200. I bought a new one from AutoZone. It was about $200, but I'm gonna give this car to a family member, and I don't want my family member to have any problems. So it's always good to just replace the battery, you know, peace of mind, and just put a brand new battery. I got the switch. So I ended up going to the junkyard. This is the old one, and I just got everything I needed. So I was able to find the switch. I found myself a master flow. It is from the junkyard. It is original. It's a Bosch. And the reason why I bought it is because I took my voltmeter and I know how to check them, you know, without installing them on the car. There's 5 connectors inside. 2 of them are going to be for the air temp sensor, and the other 3 are going to be for the master flow. So I know how to check the resistance. That's why I bought it. But if you guys don't know how to check them, just buy a new one. You know, I don't know how much they are. And the reason why I got this one is because it's original. I checked it and I know it's going to work. And the last piece I was missing, it was this coupler. So this goes from the throttle body to the sensor. And here's my PCB hose. I believe it's the PCB hose that I was missing from the other side of the valve cover. And I ended up getting a cap. It was like $5. The car had like 100,000 miles. It was crashed from the back. So I was like, this cap looks a lot better than the one I have. The seal, it's nice and fresh. So I was like, might as well, for $5, I'm just gonna get a new one. Because it's not a new one, it's a used one, but it's a better one than the one I have. And honestly, mine is leaking. I was gonna replace it. I'd rather get this one than one from AutoZone. I also bought oil. I'm gonna change the oil on the engine, but first I want to install this and I want to see how it runs. I want to see if it's gonna need anything else or if that's gonna be it. So I'm gonna go ahead and install this on the car. I'm gonna start with my switch. I'm gonna put my switch. Then I'm gonna install the master flow sensor. I'm gonna turn it on and I'm gonna see what it does. There's my switch. This was a better fix than putting tape. I'm gonna go ahead and install the battery and the master flow now. There's my new battery. I already installed it. It is a little bit of a hassle because the battery is kind of long and the tray, or the space where it sits, it's a little small, but I was able to install it no problem. Here's my sensor. So I already connect the copper that goes underneath the sensor, and I already connected the sensor back there, and there's my PCB hose. So I'm not gonna put the filter on. I got the filter right here, the housing. I'm not gonna put it on. I'm gonna go ahead and start the car. I want to see what it does. I'm gonna go ahead and turn it on. Let's see if I still get that misfire. There's still a misfire. I'm able to feel the misfire, but at least it doesn't turn off anymore. I mean, it's a lot better than how it was, but I mean, I'm still getting that misfire. So I'm gonna go ahead and connect the scanner, and I'm gonna see if the scanner tells me what cylinder is missing. Then I got spark plugs and I got a coil. If it's the injector, I'll just get the injector. I'm gonna check the compression too, but I'm gonna make it easier for myself, and I'm just gonna plug the scanner. So this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna keep my transmission codes because I haven't done anything to the transmission, but I'm gonna go into the engine and I'm gonna go to the codes. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and erase all the codes. I already replaced the sensor. It didn't have it. Actually, I did not replace it. I just put one on. So I'm gonna go ahead and erase everything, and I'm gonna turn the car off. I'm gonna turn it back on. I'm gonna get a misfire code because the car is still misfiring, but I don't want to see the master flow and the air temp sensor code. So I'm gonna go ahead and erase it. Okay, there's no codes anymore. So I'm gonna go back. There's no codes. So I'm gonna turn the car back on. I'm gonna turn it off all the way first, and I'm gonna go back. Yes, I want to exit. Then I'm gonna turn it back on. There it is. I have no check engine light, and the car is misfiring. So there's my check engine light. I'm gonna go back to the scanner. It's I'm gonna turn it off. I don't need to leave it on. Oh, so I'm gonna pause it right here. The only thing I care is about my engine codes. So I'm gonna go to my engine. I don't want to see the master flow or the air temps. If I see those, then that means there's a problem with the wires or the connector. And there it is. So I have a misfire on cylinder 4 and I have a random misfire. So I didn't see the master flow anymore. So that went away. That's what I wanted to see. I don't care about this cylinder 4 misfire or the random misfire, because I'm gonna replace the spark plugs and I'm also gonna replace some of the coils. So I'm gonna stop here. I'm gonna throw the car on the lift. I'm gonna check all the cylinders. I'm gonna do a compression test. I'm gonna replace the spark plugs. I'm gonna replace some coils. I wanna do an oil change and I'm gonna get to the transmission. So I'm gonna stop right here, escape, and I'm just gonna throw the car on the lift. That's gonna be it for this video. I put some covers on the car because it's been dusty lately, but I'm gonna stop here. I don't wanna make this video too long, but I'm gonna do a second part. For the next part, I'm gonna throw the car on the lift. I'm gonna replace the spark plugs. I'm gonna check the coils, and I'm gonna work on the transmission. For the transmission, there's something called the conductor plate, and I think the car has a problem with that. So it's some kind of plastic piece that connects to a module and the solenoids that control the pressure, the shift, and I think I'm gonna have to replace that. I already looked it up, and most likely I'm gonna have to replace it. You do have to program that piece, but I found a place that you send the old one and they just fix it. You don't have to reprogram it. I guess they just fix the conductor plate and they reuse the module. I don't know how they fix it. I mean, I have an idea. I looked it up and it's reliable. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. But like I said, it's gonna be for the next video. So that's gonna be it for this video. Thank you guys for watching. If you guys have any questions, let me know. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you.